First articles I wrote for the Financial Review about robotic process automation was a couple of years at least ago now. I interviewed Mohit, and I also interviewed a client of his, which was ANZ Bank. We got to do the whole Rise of the Robot Army headline, and it was read very well. And then the robots didn't take over as we suggested they might in our article. But work has still been carrying on in the area at the bank. And so I'm really pleased to welcome to the stage next Yann Dunlop, who's in charge of automation at ANZ Bank, and he's going to talk to you about where they're up to now. So make him feel welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Paul. And the robots don't have a French accent. I certainly do. So happy to repeat and continue. But first, I'd like to thank Mohit and his team. Fantastic organization, which, you know, when you look on a global scene, having such players in Australia that, you know, drive automation and artificial intelligence, and have started here in Sydney. This is great. You know, this is a testament to the spirit of innovation back in Australia. As Paul said, there's been a lot of media coverage on what ANZ has been doing in the automation space, the sheer magnitude of the deployment that we have, the way we've approached it in terms of industrializing some of our automation. What I'm proposing to do today is, I'll take you through some of the reasons why, you know, we're looking at automation across banking, and the reasons are not all economic, and I'll talk you through the forces at play that we have, and what I call the banking new frontiers. Then I'll spend a bit of time talking to you about how we see our opportunities in terms of automation and what we want to do with automation as an organization. And then I'll spend the last minutes, as Mohit asked me to be the doer on the panel today, and actually talk about what we are doing. And I'll take the example of somewhere which is close to my heart, which is finance as a function. And I'll give you some snippets on what we're working on, but also how we are approaching the rollout of automation for finance. All right, first thing, no surprise to anyone, you know, our first speaker and our second speaker have well spoken about the subject. You know, there's unprecedented changes in the market which is facing the banking industry at the moment. And if I look at it from the risk and reputation, you know, our reputation in the market, the trust that we need to build with our customers and our stakeholder, and how we need to restore it. The Royal Commission, which is making great recommendation, but for us it's about regaining that trust. Our customers, how do we empower our customers across the spectrum to be more digitally savvy and use the banks to their advantage to grow and thrive in the new economy? The emergence of the fintechs, which have a different business models to a lot of the legacy industries. And I'm thinking of Australia Post, but you know, ANZ is 182 years old, I think, from memory. And we have a cost base, you know, we have a role to play in the society and in the community as well. And with this comes cost. And the fintechs have the luxury of targeting some niche, more profitable products, be faster to market, and you know, start from a clean slate, I should say. Our people, our culture. So how do we help our employees to transform themselves and become more digitally savvy, embrace new ways of working, and ultimately transform themselves and make them marketable within the organization and outside of the organization as well, should they decide to. Financial discipline. You've all seen the results, which were announced a few weeks back. And across the market, whilst still generating a hefty profit, there's clearly headwinds across the industry. Revenues are softening, and we need to focus on financial discipline to generating returns for our stakeholders. The last one, which is often the way people think about automation, is the evolution of the technology. So the cost of adopting new technologies, the cost of embedding them within our ecosystem and using them has dramatically gone down. And this is continuing. You think about AI or machine learning. 5 or 6 years ago, they were very expensive technology to deploy. Now, a lot of the software providers are embedding them within their products. The cost of embracing those new technologies is every time you look at a new version or you look at a new product, there's something coming up. And it's always exponentially leapfrogging the possibilities which we had before. So it's not the only reason why automation is having such an impact at the moment. But if we think of it, all those forces at play at the moment forces us to rethink about the way we operate, about the way we deal with our clients. When I think of the digital experience, somebody told me the other day, if you go onto the ANZ app and you will benchmark it to whatever you were doing online before. If you were buying something on Amazon, you will compare that experience with your last digital experience. So suddenly, we're not competing against the 3 other banks. We're competing globally on the forefront of experience. So there's a need for us to modernize our processes, starting with the customer at heart. Somebody said before, Australian companies don't think of putting a customer first. I do agree. I completely agree. This is something which has gone into our language, into our semantic over the past few months, where we're talking about human-centered design and looking at the experience of the customer and rewinding it back throughout the whole organization and all our processes. To do that, we need seamless processes, systems that talk to each other, and legacy places like the banks in Australia can be a challenge. And that's where automation comes to play, to help what I call the front-to-back digitization, making the end-to-end customer experience easier and with less friction. How do we think about our automation opportunities? So forces are at play. We think about automation opportunities around 4 different dimensions. Engage our customer better, transact with our customer better, monitor our process and risk better, and deliver our digital services better. And that's how we think about the use of automation across our different functions. So it can be in the back office, can be in the middle office, could be in a branch. How do you make things simpler? How do you make things easy for our staff and our customers and make them digitally native? Then you look at the way we think about the value that we want to create. I'll start by the bottom one, because that's the speed to value. How fast can we go and release new products? How fast can we react to market changes? How fast can we deploy new technologies within the organization? And if you look at it, we use automation across the organization. Customer experience. I've talked about the value which we want to unlock into the experience of our customers using automation. Our employees, their engagement, and the culture. We often forget. Australia Post talked about the number of employees they have. We have, I think it's 36,000 employees. A lot of them are customers as well. And sometimes the internal experience of the services that we provide to our employees is not that great. And I'm sure you, as people who work in corporate, sometimes you say, I've got better experience using my Mac at home with my own application than I do coming to work. But this is our focus as well around automation. And the last one, productivity and efficiency, is not a dirty word. It's an opportunity. The way we think about productivity is how can we redeploy resources to create value in the new economy. I've put some of the ways on how we think of looking at automation to unlock at the moment, and that's, as I said, that's current things that we're working on. We are working on digital assistants. It's no secret, everybody is. Our firm in New Zealand had, how can I say? I'll come back to it. Jamie. Anyway, some of you who haven't seen it, it's a very realistic personal assistant. But we're looking at how we can have different channels for reaching out to our customers and our employees as well. So going twin tracks around this. How we can use machine learning as a service within our organization, embed machine learning in everything we do. So all the processes that are being done, all the data that we generate, how we can embed machine learning, but don't do it in small pockets, doing it as an enterprise initiative around it. Digitizing our documents. There's still a lot of documents which most of you would have applied for a loan. You still have to sign pieces of papers. We have a big thing to do there in terms of digitizing all our documents and how we can have documents as a service within our organization. And the last one, the APIs, which is really how do we interface all the different services that we deliver. I've thought about giving you a bit of a view on how we've approached it in finance. And the way we've looked at it, we've said automation was a dirty word in a way. People said, you're going to take my job away. The robot army is coming and they all speak French. which was not at all our intention. The way we thought about it is we see it as an opportunity to attract talent from our point of view. And in the finance team, the way we think about it is come and work, you will learn new skills, you will get a chance to apply it in what you do. It's skills that will be marketable in other parts of the organization or outside of the organization should you decide to. But we want to be the best team in automation. We want to be the ones who invest most in our people, invest most in our processes to make them cutting edge, and also look at decision science. Not data science, as you think about it, or things, decision science. The finance team is the team that helps the business to make decisions, but can make decisions based on facts and information. So it's about decision science. What we'd like to look like and what we're working on, it's more real time rather than monthly reporting that you have. We use automation to improve continuously our processes on an ongoing basis. People live and breathe automation, so they don't come to work and say, I'm going to be robotized tomorrow. I look forward to be working on this. A lot of our processes, the way we redesign them, we put a partnership around human and machine. So we have very few automation that run free. I should say we've got none actually, that run completely free. All of them, the way I look at it, is the machine either makes recommendations, the human makes a decision, and some form of robotic technology processes it. But it's a partnership. It's not a black box. It's a partnership between a human and a machine. And of course, we are very focused on cost from our perspective. I thought I put this one up because it's always very easy to talk about the good things that you've done and how successful you've been and what it means and all those things. And I take the example of quite often of Apollo 11. And I put that slide a couple of years ago when we started the journey to say that's what we are going to embark on. On 20th of July 1969, man landed on the moon. But what is not known is the journey started in 1958 with the first rocket, which was called, I think, Juno 1. There were 27 rockets between this one to this one to perfect the technology and to be able to land man on the moon. What that means? A lot of failures, a lot of learnings, and the acceptance that once you've chosen a path and you're clear on your aspiration, you need to pursue. You need to pursue, and you need to continue building on what you've done. But that's important because the fail fast or the acceptance of failure wasn't there. And we had to create, and we are still creating, that environment where it's safe to build another rocket because the one which I built before wasn't the right one. The way we've approached it in finance is the way we've been thinking about it, and approached it is actually quite simple. It's staggered from from the left to the right. And we actually haven't really started there. Continuum of our evolution. We started with RPA within our shared service centers, which we have, which are process intensive in a way, which seemed the logical place to start to roll out our robotic process automation, where we said we're just going to mimic human actions. We're just going to do exactly what our people are doing. We'll do a bit of process improvement along the way, but mostly what we are after less errors, faster, and connect things together if we can, and learn about the technology. We've built a few rockets along the way, huh? And I think we're still building some rockets in that space. It's nothing simple there, because you're looking at parts of processes that you do, and the holy grail is to get to an end-to-end processes. The second thing that we invested very early on is how can we augment the human actions. And we've done a number of things there, either using algorithm, where we use a large amount of data, historical data, and found patterns in our data. And that could be new reconciliations, for example. And we say, here's a pattern, just give it to a machine, and the machine to make us recommendation on what to do with those reconciliations. Augmenting. So rather than having an individual going through 2,000 transactions every day, he can focus on 80 of them, which are the ones which really matter, which are the ones that the machine hasn't been able to give you a recommendation on. But again, the human supervises the machine. We've been doing some work around natural language generation, which is how can you convert, I'm going to say dollars, but no, it's not dollars. How can you convert numbers into words? Fascinating technology, which comes actually from the media business and the print industry, where we try to generate some of the commentaries automatically. We've been looking at predictive forecasting. How can we forecast our sales and our cost profile around the business, and that's still ongoing. It's when you look at a complex business like this. Well, we haven't done too much, but as I said, this is our big rocket. How can we get autonomous systems to close our books? How can we redesign completely our processes to be giving automatic advice to our people? That's a big rocket, but we're not there yet, to be fair with you. What we found is along the way, it's been very effective to start with simple technology. Nothing is simple, but with very simple technology, handpick the people, give them the ability to experiment. So we've done a lot of experimentation, and usually you think finance is not synonymous of experimentation, but give people the ability to witness it, to understand how it works. Think about the impact it has on your employees and the fears and the emotion it can generate from them, and invest tactically along the way. But in whatever we've been investing, we've been thinking about what do we want to build. What is our goal? What is our mission at the end of the day? That's all I had for today, actually. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah,
Am I allowed to break? No. I'm
No,
joking.
we're almost there at tea break. I just wanted to ask you a question from that last slide there. It suggested to me that you think that RPA will be evolved past. Is that the case, or am I misunderstanding? Do you think?
No, I think it's a combination of of technology. So, and if I look here, when we've been developing some of our solutions around forecasting, for example, we've combined it with RPA. So they're not mutually exclusive. That's why I said, whilst you look at it from the left to the right, you can come at it through different angles, but the logical point of entry of this, because of the simplicity and the skills available, is on the left.
Have you been able to prove return on investment of RPA? I was reading a contrarian article saying that RPA had been a failure because our organisations couldn't prove the value of it yet. You've been doing it for a couple of years. Have you figured that it's been worth your while?
Yep, otherwise I think we would have stopped doing it. And yeah, we started 5 years ago, so we've been at it for 5 years. And we had mixed successes, but it depends what you set up as your success factors or your success criteria. And let me be blunt here. If your obsession is only about releasing capacity within your organization, i.e. reducing cost, and that's your only and sole focus which you have, you will have challenges. Because RPA on its own is an enabler to create capacity within your teams, but it's not the sole focus. You know, the way we've looked at it, as I said before, is we wanted to de-risk our processes. We wanted to get our processes faster. We wanted our digital human capital transformation to be done through RPA, so people starting experimenting on processes which they are familiar with, and that they learn to be going into that digital transformation. And we wanted to capture some of the analytics and digitize our processes in a way, because when an individual does it, the analytics are dependent on the person capturing what they do, as opposed to a machine being able to give them to you at the same time.
Okay, there was one question from the floor here.
Yeah, thanks. Arnaud France from ISG. Yann, as the doer, or introduced as such, can you perhaps just describe a few of the key, or quantify a few of the key benefits that you've achieved over the last 2 to 5 years? I think everyone heard that.
Yep. It's always hard to say. I'm trying to think about the right way to answer your questions. If I think, I'm trying to also pick an example at the same time that will bring it to life. If I take one of the processes in finance, which is quite easy to understand, is our reconciliation process. Okay. Our reconciliation process used to run over 24 days, I think, by the time we reconciled all parts of our ledger. And we do it in 8 days today. And we do it in a centralized manner with less people to be looking at, and we've redeployed most of the people that were doing reconciliation actually to governance activities, to look upstream and to fix some of the issues we have upstream rather than ticking and bashing at the end. But it's one of one of the examples. The other examples we have is we've got a process around letter of credits, issuance of letter of credits for some of our customers, and it used to take us, I think it's 36 hours. Now it can be done in 2 hours. Because of the convoluted nature of the process, and it's not just RPA, which we've put in this case, there's some amount of machine learning, some digitization, and some RPA coupled together. But if you apply yourself to your process and re-engineer the process and put automation into it, and you're clear on the benefits you want, you will achieve them.
Well, as I've been automated out of a job by a slide here. We've got a 10-minute break. We've got one question. Mohit gets to hold up the coffee.
I'm standing between you and the coffee, so never.
Just a quick question, because I think it's very important for audience to know that 5 years back, or 4.5 years back, when we started the journey at ANZ Bank, automation was a taboo. We can't talk publicly, can't go to the media, and all that stuff. Now you are doing automation experience labs openly in Melbourne, Sydney, Auckland. What has changed in the last 5 years that you are now coming open out from the closet 3 years back and now?
I think the organization has gone through dramatic changes over the last few years. If you think of it, we talk about new ways of working in the organization, which is working in an agile manner, embracing digital technology, and this has gone into the vocabulary of the enterprise as being the way we operate and the way we want to be perceived, but more importantly, the way our employees experience it. I think that's number one. Number two is through some of the examples which I've given you. We've got thousands of different examples of automation. It's important that we are being transparent with the people, and Mohit was referring to what we've done in our locations. We've opened parts of the floor where you can come as anyone and witness some of the automations that we've done in the past. So touch and feel, understand. That algorithm that does the reconciliation. How does that work? Can you talk to me about it? You can say, I'm doing that thing. I think there's a potential for it. Can you help me? So we've recruited coders, which are, and process engineers as well, which are on the floor and helping our employees, to learn. And we already have some of our employees who are turning around and say, hey, can I get a license to operate? I'd like to do it myself. I'd like to learn. So you have to. It's not something which you can. If you do that in behind a closed room without engaging with your community and your employees, you will not succeed.
Thank you.
Okay, and join me in thanking Yann Walter Dunlop.
Nice work.